and they asked me for permission to, just approach and do something to reduce line of duty. And when they left, I certainly gave my blessing, but I was wondering, what can they do to reduce cardiac line of duty deaths? Well, they came back and they wanted to do a position statement, which basically does say, all firefighters should have annual physicals, medical evaluations. So when you look at the cross sections of the fire departments across the nation, some departments operate on a $3,200 budget, to pay the electric and everything else. And, so where do they come up with the funding for a medical physical for all firefighters or in the department? So they looked at tiers, and during this process, I was asked to go down to North Carolina and look at a company that was given physicals, and I participated in that. I reluctantly went down to North Carolina because it was in July, and I like to be home when the decent weather is in Rhode Island. So I reluctantly went down, participated in the physical, and then we were talking with the executives, the owners of the companies, and the medical director of my friend, the Chief Jeff Cash, down there in Cherryville. And the doctor knocked on the door and asked me to step out in the hallway. So we walked down to the apparatus bay, and I'm standing against a rescue. And the doctor's there, he's got my EKG in his hand. He said, I'm a little concerned about this dip here. And I said, well, Doc, do I have to have Jeff, transport me in this rescue? And he said, no, but. And I discounted what he said. And then, I went back into the meeting. Well, the next thing I know, the doc's knocking on the door and asking to speak to the owner of that company that gave the physicals, that was contracted. And they're out in the hallway, as I say, violating my HIPAA rights. And next, Charles Turner asked me to step out in a three-way conversation, and Charles is the owner of the company, and he said, would you be willing to waive your HIPAA rights? And I said, of course. And Charles Turner said to me, Kevin, I've read over, 200,000 of these EKGs as you've been doing this for a long time with firefighters. And you're gonna need a stent or two in your heart. Now he can't say that because he's a RN by trade, but he did say that. He denies he said it. But bottom line, he got my attention. Well, I am the poster child for cardiac in the fire service, because after that physical, that firefighter physical, I had some tests that next day and the next week, and I ended up having quadruple bypass surgery because of that firefighter physical. So cardiac and fire service, and what Denise has to say is so critical. So I am here today because of that, because my cardiologist today says, your heart and brain do not talk to each other. I never have had any signs or symptoms. Even today, I don't have signs or symptoms. And I did have I do have a stent or two in my heart, which I had a year and a half ago, because I have to have a nuclear test to find out what's going on and look at that baseline. And so I had to have some kind of an intervention after the quadruple bypass surgery. So the importance of cardiac in the fire service is so dear and near to my heart. And I just appreciate the research that we find with our scientists in this, from science to our fire stations and what's happening. So thank you.